Welcome back to 23-Minute Reads with me, Mya D. This is kind of like my virtual book club because in these 5 minute or so videos, I share with you my takeaways from my current reading. Right now, that is Teaching to Transgress by Bell Hooks. As a part of my 23 to 23 challenge, I'm reading 23 minutes per day, every day, as an action of self love, as an investment into myself, and as a way of providing myself with some consistency in an ever changing world. Hoping that you will join me along in this journey by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and dropping some comments down there in that comment section so there's an actual dialogue going on. Having in mind that while I have several decades of experience as an educator, performer, and researcher, I'm not the know-all be-all for this book. I'm simply providing a space for dialogue. Well, this week I read pages 20 through 52, and here are my 3 takeaways. Let me get my notes. Takeaway number 1 is knowing and habits. The Bell Hooks quote reads, "I've encountered many folks who say they are committed to freedom and justice for all, even though the way they live, the values, the habits of being they institutionalize daily in public and private rituals help to maintain a culture of domination." As an educator, at some point you've run into the notion of being a constant learner, a student of life. At times, learning requires a bit of unlearning. At times, we know that a more inclusive education means that we have to decenter Western civilization. At times, language and praxis falls back to old traditions and habits. So, a search committee, a university search committee that preaches the DEI work that they're doing, but then sheds tears of fear that hiring someone that was born from another nation or another country would then jeopardize their students getting a traditional information and content, has to reflect and ask themselves, whose traditions are we centering? And are we as inclusive as we are saying we want to be? The same way that a dance educator who is lumping black dance or dances of differently able bodies or anything else into a mini course has to question whether their curriculum is inclusive as they would like to be. Tokenism, othering, and other examples of pushing persons to the margins reinforce the one thing that you claim to be working against. But as stated, sometimes we have to unlearn the things that we've learned in order to align our knowing with our habits. Takeaway number 2 is discomfort. We take your class. We learn to look at the world from a critical standpoint, one that considers race, sex, and class. We can't enjoy life anymore. This comment was made to Hooks by one of her students. Excuse me. The beauty here is that the student felt comfortable enough to respectfully talk about this. Hooks speaks of creating community in a classroom, one that values everyone's voice. Creating a community of voices means that you're going to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, especially because at times students might not realize that that shift in the paradigm of their thinking is an actual positive thing. And there's a level of discomfort, pain, and sometimes alienation that comes with this shifting as they begin to critically assess their world. Hooks acknowledged the value of creating a space for her students to speak about this discomfort with her. Takeaway number 3 is dismissal. There's a wonderful interview in the book between Gloria Watkins and Bell Hooks. And I guess you could call this an example of being honest with oneself because they're two are the same, right? They are the same person. Watkins asks Hook how she as a feminist is able to negotiate the sexism evident in Frere's work. She responds, "Frere's own model of critical pedagogy invites a critical interrogation of this flaw in the work. But critical interrogation is not the same as dismissal. I offer this to say many things in the world hold value, and the question is, how do we make more space for those other things?" I'm going to use dance as an example. I do not believe that classical ballet should be thrown out. because it holds value. I also do not believe that it needs to be the central point of every dance curriculum in every location because there are many other forms that hold value. I do believe that we can, however, take a critical look at the history of classical ballet, its current status, and the positions it holds in our curriculum in order to continue this dynamic work. Did you remember to like, comment, and subscribe? Because that was all three. Thank you for staying to the end of the video. Remember to stay blessed and spread a good word. I'll see you next week.